James Moore.
I do too.
The first one is the needle exchange program.
Okay, this is one. Second one?
Is the controlled substance facility.
Third one?
Is the solid waste ordinance and policy.
Okay.
All right, so meeting to order, the workshop for some policies. Just stuff we have to go over. So, first one is Town of Anson Needle Exchange Program, needle disposal site and medical supervised injection sites.
And I'm going to allow, we have two members from the planning board here, Janice Miller and Deborah Henry. So they're the ones that are proposing that we hold a public hearing for public comment and then put it on the town meeting warrant in its final form.
Okay. The needle exchange and the controlled substance facility both arose out of about 15 months ago. A methadone clinic was wanting to go into Madison, and the planning board became concerned. Okay, if it could happen there, what about our town looking towards the future? Luckily, it didn't go over there, but we still felt these were solid enough ordinances to bring to you guys and see if you could put them in front of the town. The needle exchange, when you get down to the nitty gritty, it says none, no, ever. No needle exchange program in this town. That can always be changed at a future time. The town so wanted it, but basically there's no rules or regulations. We just felt that saying no needle exchange was sufficient to keep them from. We're a small town, we've got schools at both ends of town, we've got kids, and so that was that one. Do you guys have any questions on that one?
Does the town of Madison have one, a needle exchange designated area?
I don't know exactly what they have. They were working on an ordinance at the same time we were over a year ago. This was done over a year ago, and it got to Tammy, and then Tammy unfortunately passed, and the whole town was in upheaval. So these have been sitting around on my desk for over a year. So I don't know what they have done in the meantime. I can tell you that both the ordinances we're bringing were copied after some, one in Skowhegan, one in Windsor. We took those solid ones and used what we needed to for ours. So we weren't just turned it out. Jeff was involved heavily with making sure that the wording and things were adequate.
So Jeff has reviewed this ordinance?
Yes.
And he supports it?
Yes, Jeff and Chris were the authors of this. They got together and they came back to us as a planning board. We reviewed everything, made our decision, and then bring it to you guys. But Jeff and Chris were the authors of it.
So basically, this restricts anyone from coming into our town to be able to offer any services.
Yeah, no needle exchange.
No exchange or disposal.
Now, the controlled substance facility is not as strict it does leave room for one to come to town, but it's very specific how far they have to be from a school, how far they have to be from a daycare, or anywhere that kids could, might be. There was one question on the second page, section 5, exceptions, A. And that was a registered facility shall only be located on. And the question was, do we want to list a specific point to pick out a place in town that it could be? Or do we want to just take that out and leave it that they have to read everything else?
If it's specific, so that you can't be within a certain number of feet from a school or a park or anything,
Correct.
I would think that that would be sufficient enough to cover the areas of concern.
And that was certainly Deb's and my take on it. At the time, the guys were really just, the whole methadone clinic just upset them a lot.
Yeah.
And so they were like, how strict can we be? What can we do? So we can go either way. That's going to be up to what the selectmen decide they want to have it say there. We can either insert a specific thing, or we can take A out totally, because then it wouldn't be needed. It's pretty, yeah, I mean, within 2,000 feet of schools, that
Goes above and beyond, usually it's 1,000 feet, we say too. We're really getting protective of our children, you know, our children and our elderly people, you know.
any questions, guys, for us?
With the controlled substances, does that include cannabis?
No,
No,
no.
it says,
Let's say that. So
It
Does-
says,
does that-
some marijuana regulations.
Oh, okay, right, please refer to it, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
because we already have ordinances
right,
for that.
Yeah.
And this is methadone, Suboxone.
Methadone.
okay.
want that in our town. I think they can go to Madison, I'm not sure, but I really feel that we need a methadone clinic here in our town.
So we can't legally keep them out though, right? I mean, we can restrict where they can be, but we can't legally. Didn't Madison go through that? I mean, they couldn't legally keep them out.
They did.
They did, as far as we know. You're supposed
They're going in to the old veterinarian clinic.
Right, but they kept them from where they wanted to go.
Yeah,
Right,
they wanted
but
to
the
go
reason that they
as
had
far
That
as-
was, that's my statement, is we can't legally keep them out, but we can restrict them from where they're going, to where they're
Right.
going.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah. Because the business has a right to come in as long as they abide by the codes and the rules, then they have a right, other than where it's restricted.
Right.
Okay. I mean, cannabis is restricted on schools and that kind of stuff, so. Okay.
So other than the exceptions, there was really nothing else. And I'm wondering with with that question, if perhaps that should be left on, and if the board decides to take it to a public hearing to get it in its final form for town meeting warrant, that maybe we get the opinions of the citizens at that time on whether we keep that in and indicate what road, which means we would have to do some homework to make sure that we're inclusive instead of exclusive of the permitted areas, or just take that out like Janice suggested and keep it to the restrictions from schools, parks, places where children be. Daycares, student daycares. private school safe zone. It's designated, okay.
What is a safety zone? Do we have safety zones?
We have safe zones identified?
Yeah, in other ordinances.
Okay.
But this would go in front of the taxpayers.
If you choose to put it on the annual town meeting warrant.
See, in section 5 of that, it says a registered facility shall only be located on a specific location of other towns have.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but I think if Madison's gonna do it, it might not come to our town. Because, so-
Have you guys reviewed Madison's ordinance to?
we, like we
ordinances?
said, we have looked at it since last fall,
Okay.
so certainly something that we can do.
The needle exchange program that you presented is identical word for word with Madison's. I have Madison's printed out right here.
Okay.
The other one I couldn't find on Madison's because I don't think they have one
Okay.
necessarily just for,
For controlled substance?
right, they have marijuana involved with it.
Oh, okay. So what do you guys think? Are you
On
interested
section 5,
of the controlled substance?
yes.
Okay.
Number, letter B,
Uh-huh.
can you, I don't understand.
For confidentiality and public safety reasons, no interior layout plans or details of security features for any facility will be required to be submitted except the minimum needed for a building permit as requested by the local fire department. Can you offer any insight as to what the intent was there?
Anytime you're talking about a medical facility of any type, all these red flags come up about patient confidentiality. And so this was simply a method of saying, okay, we don't have to know where patient files are kept in the building. We just need the normal plans we would get, which would show, the general layout of the building.
The floor plans.
The floor plans, right,
Fire,
but we don't have the need or the right to know exactly where each patient room is and where each patient's file is kept. And so that was included, it was needed. I can't tell you any more than that. It was just, and the others that we read, they all had something similar, so we cherry picked.
That makes sense now that you've explained it.
So, if we do this one, number one, the needle,
The needle.
and the controlled substance, those will go out in March, see if the townspeople wanted to.
What I would do is, before we put the town meeting warrant, before we sign it, we would want to have a public hearing to get public comments, so that way you have it in its most acceptable form, because once we post the town meeting warrant, we'll post these
Right.
proposed ordinances with it, and at that point, voters can either vote it up or vote it down, but you can't amend it. So it's when you're drafting or proposing ordinances, you really want to have a public hearing to allow the public to weigh in on the draft as it stands, and if they make suggestions for changes, ultimately you can decide whether to accept those changes or not. But it gives them an opportunity for their voice to be heard, and any changes or edits put into the ordinance before reaching town meeting.
Okay.
So if you guys are agreeable,
It's
I
not
will,
mandatory, is it, Nancy, at all?
what's
That
that?
all towns have to comply, it's not mandatory. It's just a suggestion for different towns.
The planning board is recommending that we adopt a local ordinance
Either
to
or.
cover the town.
Yeah, we need to have the ordinance in place. I mean, Madison didn't have one, I'm assuming $100 to them.
Right,
And so they had to scurry, and then you start getting into legal.
right,
All of a sudden, you're voting against stuff that people are trying to do because you don't have a better response, so, I
right.
mean, it keeps us from getting these, you know.
Yeah.
And the sooner you adopt something, then the more restrictive we can be, because if someone were to come in and apply tomorrow, they would be exempt from this because they would have been pre-existing before an ordinance went into effect.
So that was good.
Yeah. We're talking about the first two ordinances proposed at town meeting. And we're kind of taking them both up.
At the same time.
Yeah. If there are no other questions, I think that it would be good to get some directions. If you want to proceed with this, then go ahead and schedule a public hearing for sometime in December.
December?
We need some more
We'll either do
information.
December or January.
Yeah, you know, who's gonna pay for a supervised medical person to be in these facilities, you know what I mean? There has to be a little bit more input. I don't know much about it, you know.
That, I mean, who would pay for the medical people? That would be the company that
Company
wants
that
to come
does it.
in.
Yeah,
That doesn't fall to us.
at all.
No, not at all in any way. This is just, think of it as the building,
Yeah.
so.
What would we ask for?
We would be regulating them.
What would we ask for?
And I take it that our code enforcement officer would be the one that oversees it,
Oh, you would, okay.
But we can always,
to enforce it.
but if the townspeople vote it down, it's up, right?
Right. We talked a little bit about the controlled substance one, the second page. Under the exceptions, number A, where the we should list roads that, they could put a facility, or do we leave that alone and just show, the areas that are restricted, and those are above in number C, locations restricted. So it would tie back to that, instead of trying to figure out what roads.
Right.
Just say that you can't within, these areas, whether it's a school.
You can't be on River Road either, but can't be shoreline. You know what he said?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's like it in a flood zone.
Okay, flood zone, okay, yeah.
No wetlands.
Right, no
Because of the
shoreline, no
hazards
flood,
of the
right, no
chemicals that
wetlands.
it's-
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
right,
So it restricts a whole lot of the town,
it does.
town proper anyways.
We have churches, you can't be around churches, you can't be around schools.
Does that include daycares? Daycare, does that include daycare?
Yes,
Licensed daycare?
Recognized as how it is in the ordinance, anything recognized as a daycare.
I saw the other things, the schools, churches.
And your own request.
I think so, I think that was the biggest rate in Madison for
Either sometime late December or in January.
You also have a
Yep, I am. Do you guys have any more questions on that? And do you want to move forward with holding a public hearing and putting it on the warrant? So I'll talk to the planning board to see, when we might want to schedule a public hearing. Yeah, I'm assuming we'll do it, at a selectmen's meeting, we'll do that first, and get that out of the way.
solid waste.
Yep, so that one is me. I know we had a workshop, a few weeks back to go over the ordinance, and I made some edits based on our discussions. On page 1, the only thing I did really was to update the section. The section number was wrong, so I wanted to tie it in with the main revised statutes. So I corrected that. On page 2 of the solid waste ordinance, I did try to put in red some of the changes. I thought under the definitions of recyclable and recycling, that it says that set forth by our regional waste facility, Corp, with Starks, but we also should add waste management because they do take recyclables. And then under the administration, that we shall adopt and amend after public hearing written rules and regulations governing the operation of our regional waste corporation to include permitting fees and terms for permits of commercial haulers. I didn't want to exclude KV RWC in this ordinance. Under permitting, I've added a couple of paragraphs. The collection and transportation of waste and recyclable materials generated in the town of Anson for a fee is prohibited unless authorized by the select board. Currently, the only one that is authorized is Kennebec Valley Regional Waste. All residents who wish to deliver waste to Waste Management must display a residential disposal permit issued by the town on their vehicle. The vehicle's current registration is required to obtain a permit. Residents are authorized to display a permit on multiple vehicles owned by them. That was something that we had agreed not to limit, so I wanted to make sure that that got in there. There was nothing in the current ordinance that indicates that a permit or a sticker is required, so we wanted to make sure we got that in the ordinance. Page 3, I took out the fee of $25 for the commercial hauler's license and added a number 3 that said, see the solid waste fees policy for the annual fees for commercial haulers licenses and residential universal waste items to Waste Management for the town of Anson. I did also in number 2, and I forgot to highlight it, I changed the certificate of liability insurance from $500,000 to $1 million. And I know we discussed it in the workshop, I just forgot to highlight that. Let me see, was there anything else? And that was it. That was all I had suggested for changes to the existing ordinance. And then you should also have a policy for the solid waste fees and permits. I kind of pulled this from Skowhegan. They had separated their fees from their ordinance as well. So this would all be new. So I started out by saying Rules and Regs Authority. These rules and regulations are promulgated pursuant to the solid waste ordinance for the town that we just reviewed. The purpose is to operate a municipal solid waste program, and that it's necessary to establish rules to provide guidance to the municipal staff and to the public. The definitions provided in the solid waste ordinance would also be in full force and effect in the policy, and that we can amend this by majority vote of the selectmen, of the select board, following 30 days public notice in the public hearing. So if we wanted to update or amend these fees, we would get public input, but then you would be able to do it at a selectmen's meeting and not at the annual town meeting, as it is a policy and not an ordinance. So for the fees, effective January 1 of 26, a commercial hauler would pay $125 next year. With the following year, it will go up to $250. We had talked about a sliding scale, a ramp up, so to speak, to get them up there. So it'd be a jump of $100 next year, and then another jump of $125 for the haulage year after. And then I looked at what our universal waste schedule is currently, and I also looked at the waste management contract and what we're paying to dispose of fees. So I updated our fees to coincide with waste management. So the town it's just a pass-through. We'll collect it from the resident, and then we get charged from waste management for these disposal fees. That includes tires, white goods, large appliances, propane tanks, and then computers, scanners, printers, TVs, monitors, those sorts of things for ground goods. And then I thought that in the policy, we should just mention recyclables and indicated that we encourage recycling and that there are currently two ways. The single stream, which is made possible by Waste Management. And I put a link to Waste Management's website, which talks about everything that's acceptable at their facility. And then I wanted to tie in Kennebec Valley Regional Waste, because I don't know that as new people come into town, if they're aware that the town currently offers curbside pickup services twice a month. And I did speak with someone at the facility and got the date. So they're in North Anson on the first and third Monday of every month, and they're down in Anson on the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. And then as far as the effective date, because this is contingent upon passing a new ordinance for the regulation of solid waste, I thought this should also become effective after March town meeting. Because there's no sense to put together a policy for solid waste if the ordinance doesn't pass. So it'll still be in the original ordinance. Anyone have any comments, suggestions, changes on any of that?
So when are the commercial holidays? Each year.
Their license will expire December 31st annually.
Yeah, so these don't become effective until March.
Right, so after March is when I would send out the packet for them to license with the new fee schedule and ask that they submit their application and pay their fee to become licensed. We'll have to do it that way for this 1 year because of town meeting.
And then it'll be yearly.
So they won't get their license before March.
They will not, no, and currently, we were doing it in June, and I think it says that it expires on December 31st of the year of issue, but I didn't put in the ordinance a date by which they need to apply by. And if you want, I can certainly add that, like, let's say, to be a licensed hauler, you need to apply by March 31st annually. I don't know. I really didn't want to be too restrictive, and, you know, I guess if there was a new hauler that came in, that would be the exception, but an existing one.
So what if the haulers are smart enough to go for their license before March?
We
Just so I
wouldn't
give you
allow
now.
it. We wouldn't allow it.
So how are they gonna haul between March and December? If their license moves out in December?
We would have to give them an extension through March 31st.
Okay. I just want.
That's a good point, Jim.
Maybe
Yeah, you're right on top.
It's,
So maybe it
I
should.
mean, that's what I would do. I mean, okay, so I'll have to, after March, I'll have to pay $125, so I'm gonna pay $25 before that,
Yes, you would.
right?
But then it expires.
Can we,
We could.
And I meant nothing by, I know the people at hall, and they are smart people, that's why it concerns me.
Yeah.
So, could we change the effective date? Since this has to be
Adopted.
You should say, we could say that the license shall expire on March 31st annually instead of December 31st. And then come April, the new fee will be in effect and they'll have to license from April to March.
There you go.
You want to do that?
That would be good.
Closes that loophole.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it would.
When I ran a business, I like to be
Yeah.
We all did.
Can I just point out a couple other changes that you did to this? Under general provisions, F and G, the wording is different on the old the ordinance and the new one. And then just a question, you did just approve ordinance licenses on October 14th, I think. So were those only good until March, or did you approve those ones for a year?
No, I think their
Those
license.
haulers licenses?
Yeah, the hauler's licenses were good through December 31st because the
only
existing
December 31st.
ordinance says that they shall expire December 31st
Okay,
annually.
just curious.
Yeah, so I had to follow what the current ordinance says.
But the wording of those two letters are different, that you didn't point out. On page 4, I think it would be, on the new one, it might be.
Under general provisions,
Yep.
F and G,
F and G.
oh, yeah.
It's worded
Yes.
differently at the beginning of the
A
first.
little bit, yes, I think it is.
And then you added some words on G.
Yeah. Right. So yes, on F, it's not substantive. The original ordinance says in the event that, and we had agreed at our workshop to take that out and say the town has that tax-based tipping fee. So I just took out the words in the event that for F. And then in G, typically related to demolition debris. Yes, large and small appliances or tires, right, we had talked about that as well. Yeah, so that was more of a substantive change. Yeah. So that should have been highlighted in red, large and small appliances.
Since we're changing that, this will also be changed, correct?
Oh, you're on the policy, yeah, so let's see.
So that would be changed
Under
to
fees.
3/31,
Effective April 1.
April.
Yes, good catch. And then, same thing for B, that would be April 1 of 27. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Sharon.
That should be a standard anyways, because just in case we have changes, so that each year.
No.
Yep. I I think what I'll do, if you approve this draft to go to public hearing, is I'll do a compare docs to compare the existing one with the new one, to show strikeouts and additions, so that it's clear to everybody exactly, you know, what the existing ordinance says and what we're looking to change. And that way you'll see it. I had started to do this, but the original, all I had it was in a PDF form. So when I tried to convert it to Word, it changed a lot of things.
You can change the forms, styles.
Yep, it does, and it puts in characters and.
You'd think they'd have that fixed by now.
Yeah.
Words only went up there, but 40 years. Maybe not that long. Actually, that.
But compared to other towns, these fees are much lower
Yes.
considerably.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's a start.
Well, we've got to start somewhere, and we
Yeah,
thought
it's a
we would,
start.
yeah. Ramp up.
Can't shuffle too much.
And I still think that's fair. I'm sure that commercial hauler is still gonna make money, even if we do increase their annual fee by $100. I don't, that's gonna hurt them too bad.
Well, if they've been hauling out of towns and they're getting it anyways there,
Right.
they've been
And
lucky.
it-
Lucky
lucky.
that we haven't done
Correct.
something before.
Correct.
We said.
So, okay to move forward. Okay, so we'll schedule that for a public hearing too.
Any other business? we can talk
We got a few bits. I was hoping to have time to draft up some policies for you guys to look at. The auditor had made it clear, in another town, in my other town, that we should have a fund balance policy. And so I was looking, Anson, I haven't been able to find anything. I don't think we have a fund balance policy. I think we should have a asset capitalization policy that indicates at what point do we capitalize our assets. I think it's kind of an understood, but I don't think that's in written form. I would like to create a policy for the use of town credit cards. Currently, the office staff is not allowing a credit card payment over the phone. I think that just is burdensome and unfortunate for the town, because if someone's out of state and they want to pay their taxes and pay that fee, they can't do so over the phone. I would like to correct that with a policy that would allow us to do that.
So we can't take credit cards, the town can't take credit cards.
That's what I'm being
over the
told.
phone. Huh,
Yeah.
kind of antiquated.
When someone comes in
Right.
and does a transaction, we can swipe it, and if their card doesn't work, we manually key in their credit card number, all their data. So because we can manually key it in, I don't see why someone on the other end, why they wouldn't be allowed to do it, but I guess it hasn't been past practice. So I just think moving forward, let's clean this up, let's put together a few policies that gives me a little clearer direction instead of, past practice is the only explanation that I've been given up to this point. I just think it would be easier for me as a tax collector, that if someone wants to pay a lien or a tax on the last due date, that they could with a credit card payment. And then I did also have a draft tax payment policy that I would like to work on. And basically with that, it is a law that you apply payments to the oldest outstanding tax, but when you're getting close to the foreclosure period, usually it's 45 to 30 days advance notice before automatic foreclosure. You know, at that point, if they come in on the last day and they want to give you a personal check, and you accept that, and it bounces, you know what I mean? It's so this one I actually had borrowed from neighboring Norwich Walk at the time, that during the period of 10 business days prior to the date of 30-day notice to lien or notice of foreclosure, the tax collector and/or treasurer will only accept payments by bank check, debit card, certified check, money order, or cash. And that way, you know, you avoid that potential of insufficient check coming back and missing your.
Nancy, I have a question and a concern on doing the credit card thing, just because of the past history in the town. How come the town, even though we send emails out to the public and to people that live in the town, why can't we do like an invoice like a company does? And they can pay it online,
Pay what? Like
their bill or taxes.
their taxes? We could. I do know that with rapid renewal, there is a provision in there that does allow for tax payments. I would want to keep that to like the current year. When you get into the liens and the timing of it, you wouldn't want to have someone pay at 11:30 p.m. On and the next day you're applying demand fees and certified mail fees, and now all of a sudden you're short that money, those fees. So it does get tricky. With Trio, they interface with a company, and I can't remember the name of them, that does allow for tax payments. I haven't really looked into that in quite some time. But I do know with rapid renewal, and I think if we kept it to current year taxes and then shut it off, like, you know, maybe a few days before I am getting ready to file a lien at the registry, for example, or maybe even the notice period. I think I would want to talk to inform me on taxes. I think it's just because of the lien process that this town has shied away from it in the past. And I know back when I worked with Tammy, she wasn't supportive of doing tax payments online because of the lien process. But I think that has changed a little bit. And I do know there are towns out there that do offer that. So yeah, I think that might be another avenue to pursue.
The program itself should be able to, maybe not. My thought is, should be able to see the lien date and not allow a payment into a certain amount of time.
Right.
So that it wouldn't take a payment by debt, by the act or whatever it is.
Yeah. I can certainly reach out to inform me and try to get some more information on that. And then incorporate that into the policy for use of the credit card. topic. So I had all of these out and was in hopes to modify them to fit Anson and present to you, at least just as a topic of discussion, but I haven't had an opportunity to get to those yet, so it's still on my back burner. So other than that, I didn't have any other business for the workshop. Anybody else does? We should probably adjourn the workshop and then we'll have a 10-minute break before we go into the meeting.
Workshop is adjourned at 5:50.
Okay.